Social media platforms are working to combat misinformation and hate speech about the Derek Chauvin trial. Before the verdict was announced yesterday, Facebook said that it would limit content that could lead to civil unrest or violence. But the tech giant added that it would still allow users to discuss and criticize the trial and the attorneys involved on its network. So CBSN technology reporter Dan Patterson is with us now to talk more about this. Dan, so glad you are here because one of the things I was thinking yesterday is I wonder what's happening in sort of the corners of social media and the internet that I generally don't go to, but you do. So first off though, we'll ask, how are other social media websites monitoring what's being shared about this verdict?
Yeah, it's good to see you, Anne-Marie. And it's also good to point out that Facebook did release tools designed to combat hate speech, as did Instagram. They announced recently that they'll launch a few features that will minimize, they hope, hate speech on the platform. And we did take a look at mainstream social networks as well as alternative and sometimes some of these toxic social networks. And we found on traditional social media, Twitter, Facebook, and other large networks, this mixture of relief, empathy for George Floyd's family, and we saw the keywords justice and accountability trend. But we also saw this sentiment that you and many others have expressed, that although there was justice in this one case, it cannot restore George Floyd's life. We also saw this mixture of outrage and anger. And as the verdict came down, I use a tool that tracks Twitter in real time. And we saw about 55,000 uses of the phrase "Blue Lives Matter" trend at that exact moment. So mainstream social was kind of this mixture of emotions.
You know, because I've learned a lot from you over all of our conversations, sometimes it's difficult to tell when a hashtag or a phrase is actually sort of organic and whether it's sort of deliberately placed there to mislead. But I will ask you, you've been on right-wing sites. What are they saying about the verdict?
So a lot of these right-wing social networks are kind of hard to watch right now, meaning the content is fairly toxic. We won't show any of this toxic, but many of these networks, like Gab and Parler, on the front page or the trending sites, sometimes the racism or violence is latent or it is not overt. That kind of changed. They were quiet before the verdict came down, but that kind of changed after the verdict. Other networks like 4chan, 8kun, which was formerly 8chan, and some sites where we won't share the domain were actively, overtly racist and violent. We took a lot of screenshots. We shared these with our teams, and we did have discussions about the volume of these posts and the organic nature versus inorganic nature. Many of them seem to be pretty real, pretty organic, and so it's kind of hard to see this attempt to gaslight the Black Lives Matter movement or to minimize it, to marginalize it. We did see people like Ron Watkins, who used to be the leader of 8chan, the toxic site that led to the birth and rise of QAnon and other conspiracy sites. He was actively pushing disinformation yesterday and pushing these sentiments of violence, that Black Lives Matter would be violent no matter what happened. Of course, this is not true. Most of the protests at large scale that we saw last year were incredibly peaceful, and much of the violence was inorganic, meaning it was planted. We see a lot of not just toxic content, but attempts to push disinformation that kind of extend from QAnon into the conspiracy communities and try to surface them, these memes online in mainstream networks.
So that is sort of social media at its worst. But at its best, it is a great place to gather and discuss, to organize, to build momentum for valid causes. When I got up this morning, I was listening to Clubhouse. There were a lot of rooms where people were discussing the verdict, whether it was just sort of as an emotional outlet or a genuine attempt to connect with others who had different life experiences. How has social media and technology played a role in this case?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Anne-Marie. And this was some of the hopeful stuff that we saw all day yesterday. I, too, was in some clubhouse rooms. And while there was some toxic discussion, there were also great communities sharing their own experiences. They were talking about not just justice and accountability, but how we can learn from this. And I also saw some of these same conversations rise on Facebook and in Twitter hashtags. So you're exactly right. Social media isn't entirely a toxic wasteland. It can be used to divide people, and many experts say, including Maria Ressa, who we've interviewed many times on CBSN, have said that algorithms can often segregate people and lead to divisiveness. In many cases, through the course of this trial, we saw social media as a place where communities could come together and follow the ins and outs of the trial in real time in fairly positive ways.
Yeah, it's so true, Dan. Hey, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Great to see you.